Hello, my friends. This is Andy at the Andy Falco Show, coming to you live from Brea, California. It's a little after 6. Sorry, I started a little bit late. I had to get the kids situated, get them out of the room because this is an uncensored broadcast. And so I am going to go ahead and put this disclaimer up there. Caution, very foul language will be used because I have never been, I don't think, let me think. Have I ever been this angry? I don't think I've been this angry. And know that I smile and I laugh and I chuckle, especially when I'm angry. All right. So don't take, and whether it matters to you, I don't know. I'm going to offend a large number of people today. I just know it because there's some subject matters that some people just do not want to hear. When you say things like police are not racist, liberals and Democrats and a large amount of people curl up, suck their thumb, and want to whine that I'm a liar to the people. But I'm going to show you that that is not true. Do we have problems in police departments from time to time? Yes. Do we have problems in the medical business? Yes. But we have a lot of that stuff. All right. Before I lose all the audience, because I'm sure that at some point everybody will leave. Not everybody. There's a few of you that will support me, but I just wanted you to see, caution, there's going to be some foul language used. I'm not going to use it yet. I'm going to give you time to get the kids out of the room, find your ear pods if you want to continue. But I'm going to tell you, I am not holding back because I think in some cases, just like on the streets when I was a police officer, sometimes you have to talk to suspects in the language they understand. And that is true. I'm sorry to tell you that you can't go into the hood. You cannot go in the barrio. You cannot go in certain area in a trailer park, right? And go, excuse me, I would like you to move now. No, you have to say, get the fuck out of your car. Put your fucking hands up, right? You have to talk that way or else they don't do it. All right. And they don't understand. So there you go. There was a treat for you. There was a little bit. And I'm sorry. I've got to tell you that that's the way it's going to be. I am sorry. All right. But that's it. I'm not apologizing any longer because I told you, I caution you, do not watch if you're a pussy. All right. Do not watch. All right. Because I am not going to hold back. I sent my kids out of the room so that I could talk to you frankly and talk to you in a way that you understand how pissed I am. And if there's somebody watching that doesn't understand reality and understand real life, then just go away. Because I don't have any fucking time for you. And then unfriend me if you're watching on Facebook, if you're watching on YouTube, if you're watching anywhere else, whatever that's called. I don't know if it's called unfriending on YouTube. Who gives a fuck? But stop subscribing if you're subscribing. All right. So let's go to a couple sponsors first. And we're going to go to today's happycoffee.com. Gosh darn it. I had a cup of this coffee this morning and it's been a while. And I really just started with this company as a sponsor. And I was fired up for hours. and then I read the directions. You should only have half probably of the contents of what I put into the coffee, right? They only half, and then use the other half later in the afternoon to spread out the happy and the energy. And then, I'm telling you, go to today'shappycoffee.com or message me if you want to learn more about it, because I can send you information. There's samples and there's all kinds of stuff that I can send you. Private message me on Facebook. If you're watching on YouTube, you're going to have to go to Facebook. I don't know how to do that on YouTube. I know that you can comment and stuff like that, but you can go to Facebook and you can private message me that you want to try some coffee that makes you happy. I'm telling you, I was on fire earlier today. When I was preparing for this show, it got me, my notes are way too long, right? I don't know if I'm going to get to all the stuff, but today's happycoffee.com is one of my sponsors. And then today's CBD oil for the best CBD oil on the planet. As a matter of fact, I'm going to take some because I need it. I need it. Did you see my hand shaking? I'm telling you, this is crazy. We need to end all this, but go to today'scbdoil.com and then today'svaseo.com for other wellness products. The best wellness products in the world. Vaseo is one of the top 50 healthcare companies in the world, and they have some great products. So go there. All right. So let's go ahead. I'm gonna actually put a scroller underneath here that says caution. That way people joining late can see. And that how you spell foul? Is that right? Because I think that's foul like a bird. Is there another way to spell foul? Now that I'm looking at that, those of you that follow me on Facebook and see some of my posts, I know that my grammar when I'm pissed and when I'm using my thumbs, when you're using your thumbs to type out a very important message, trust me, I am the worst. And my punctuation and the words that I use, and I understand, I know. All right, but don't let that take away from the power of the message I'm talking about. And so and I hope that this doesn't become disjointed, because I try in all my shows to have a show flow, but this is a hard one because there's so many aspects to it. So the protests that you see out there are no longer peaceful protest. Don't listen to the media. Don't listen to the liberal media. Don't listen to any media that says that we need to have this peaceful protest, and we need to allow people to it has stopped being that, even during the day. Now, there doesn't seem to be as much violence during the day, so I have no problem allowing a little. And again, like I'm the leader of the free world. I am not. However, I wish I was. But at 4 o'clock is when, not 5, not 7, not 11. New York, you stupid moron, idiot. Cuomo and the other asshole, the mayor, what's his name? What's the hell's his name? I know it. He's an idiot. He's a moron. He's a leftist, far left, liberal asshole who does not care about the citizens of his city. Nor does the governor care about the citizens of his state. They're both moronic assholes. Same with Minnesota and Minneapolis. All right. So we're going to cut through the crap, because this is done. We're done. The country is done. The state of California is done. Chicago, whatever. The people that really live in those cities and want to live in those cities and want to go back to work and want to go on their daily life and maybe want to be a peaceful protest, they cannot. They cannot, because they're being infiltrated by left-wing liberal organizations, white supremacists. Let's throw that out there too, because I'm sure there's some of them too. But all of those folks are not allowing the peaceful to protest. They are destroying our country in just about every state and across the world. All right. The fact, and I'm going to look at my notes, and this is going to be the first time I look at notes as much as I do, because I really want to stay on task the best I can. And I will try to follow the chat the best that I can. But please chat. Please put in your information. Please tell me that I'm wrong. Please tell me that I'm right. Please tell me that you don't know. And please give me more information. This is the fact. Right? These are the facts. And I want to make sure I wanted to make these things clear, because I don't want you to think that I don't believe that George Floyd was murdered. He was murdered in the sense of the Minnesota law, and what they charge him with Minneapolis, not the right section, by the way, but they have murder. They use it differently than we do in California, but I'm going to use their wording for murder. It's actually murder 2, but they charge him murder 3. The fact this occurred in a liberal state with a liberal mayor in the city that it happened is the real issue. That is the issue. That is the issue. And you go, well, what about the cops? No. The real issue is that for decades, liberal Democrats have been in charge of these cities and these states where the worst of the worst of everything that's happening right now is in those cities and states that are being run by Democrat leadership. Now, people say, Andy, you're getting so political. Why does every discussion have to be political? Because it is. It is. Every one of these things is happening. For the most part, I'm not telling you Republicans, there are some bad Republicans. I'm going to get to a couple of those morons in a minute too. But I'm telling you, the worst of the problems with law enforcement are in liberal cities and states. That's the bigger issue. The fact that a Democrat mayor has done nothing about his police department in his city to root out the rotten apples in that department and allowed the culture of crooked cops to continue is on him. He is the mayor of that city. He then tells the chief what to do. The chief then makes sure that they root out bad cops who have 13. There may be more. I know of 13, I think, of complaints against a former officer that has been arrested for murder. Did you not know that this was going to happen, you idiot? Like the mayor, this is his responsibility. That's the issue. That he didn't take charge and go to, hey, okay, I'm the mayor now. As the chief of police, I want to see what's going on at the police department. I understand that there is a lot going on where we need to maybe address some of the culture that is occurring in the police department. Right? It all starts with the leadership. You can't expect police officers that are dealing with the dregs of society on a day-to-day basis, and I'm not talking about blacks. I'm talking about the criminal element, whether it's white, black, Chinese, Mexican, it doesn't matter. That when they're dealing with that on an everyday, you need good leadership and say, I understand that you have been assigned to this area where, let's go with Mexicans, that way we're not always talking about blacks, that you have a high Hispanic area with a large criminal amount of crime, criminal amount of crime. You have a lot of crime occurring in this specific area, and daily you're dealing with criminal Hispanic. It is really hard not to be angry at a certain race when that is all you're dealing with every day. It is not easy. I'm telling you, everybody's human. But having your supervision, the leadership understand that maybe they need to move people around. Maybe they need to ask questions. Maybe they need to have a time where they ask, how are you doing? And watching them and seeing what it is they're doing on the rest, reading the police reports. That is the problem. And I know that this is going to be maybe a 2-hour show if I continue to that macro of describing everything. The fact that the Democrat DA slow rolled the murder charges and the arrest of the former cop is the real issue. It really is the real issue. Much of this I don't think entirely, but I think much of it may have been reduced as far as the angry of the community, but it did allow Antifa and some of these other groups to kind of put a plan together, because it didn't happen the day of the murder, right? It didn't happen the next day of the murder. It didn't happen 2 days after the murder. It was about 3 or 4 days after the murder that all this happened. What do you think they were doing leading up to the time where you saw all the violence? They were planning, and I'm gonna show you that they were planning, because this is an organized effort to just create chaos in our society. It's an organized effort. Do you understand that? It is not the peaceful protests that are protesting about this cop kneeling on George's neck, right? You can have that without chaos. The chaos being created is an organized effort to create chaos in our world. Do you understand that? And it took time for them to organize, and they've organized. I'm gonna give you an article out of the Wall Street Journal that explains that. The fact that the Democratic leadership in most of the problematic cities is the real problem. New York, California, Chicago, Detroit. Where's the other one? And Dallas. There's some others that are not just coming to my mind right now. But if you look at it, you have Democratic leadership in all those areas that allowed. Let's allow them to vent. It's just buildings are burning down. It's just a brick and mortar. It can be replaced as they burn down a police department. You really think that's okay? Do you not think that sends a signal to people that you're not going to do anything as they're creating chaos in our world? That you allowed that to happen, that you didn't bring in the forces that you need? Cuomo did not bring in the state police into the city of New York to help support the police department, which is a very large police department. That very large police department in New York is being overwhelmed because you didn't bring in a strong enough force at the beginning to keep it from being overwhelmed. I'm not going to make it through this thing. I'm going to have a drink. And yes, this is a beer. All right. Cities and businesses are being destroyed after they have been closed for over 3 months. That is the bigger problem. We've been closed for 3 months with a pandemic, and now you're allowing them to be destroyed. Many of them mom and pop stores and types of companies, service companies that are being destroyed after they've been closed for 3 to 4 months, especially in states like in cities like New York, cities like Los Angeles, that now they're being destroyed. They've been closed. They're just, we're going to open, right? In a couple of weeks, we're going to open. It's going to be so good to go back to work and bring our employees back. And now it's rubble. It's all been burnt down. That is the real issue, right? Stores like CVS are boarded up, and people that need pharmaceuticals cannot get their pharmaceuticals. People are going like, where am I going to get my pharmaceuticals? I just heard a story that somebody that's in LA was trying to get some pharmaceuticals for whatever it is that was ailing them, and they had to ship them in from another state, overnight them, because they couldn't simply just walk down the street and go to the CVS. Why? Because it's boarded up, or it's been looted and it's been on fire. Strategic planning. Yes, strategic planning. Thank you, Nicole. They want to destroy. Do they have complete control? Until they have complete control. Yeah, that is so true. And so those are the real issues. If you really think that the peaceful protest and the kneeling on George's neck, which should have been the focus, is still the focus, you are completely wrong. You are a dumb shit, is what you are. You are a moron, liberal media hack, who continue to say, well, you can't stop them, and you don't want to use police force, and you don't want to use anything that may stop. It stopped being that. And we're going to talk about that too. All right. So the other bullshit that liberal media and liberals are using social media, I have friends that are liberal, and they are caught up in the bullshit and bringing up Trump is the problem. What? This was occurring. All the things that I laid out didn't occur when Trump became president. These governors, these mayors, this DA, the climate in these police departments, right? The issues that led to having people like that former police officer arrested for murder, that happened. Those 13 complaints that occurred happened before President Trump was president. How you can say that President Trump is responsible for that moron, that person that I really hate to call even former police officer, kneeled on his neck, is not because of President Trump, you idiot. That was all happening before he became president. To turn this around so that you take away focus of the real issues that I brought up and say, well, Trump's hiding in his bunker because he's scared. You think what? You really think Donald J. Trump is scared? Do you really think that I bet you they had to take, if he was in the bunker, who knows if he was or not? Do you think he went in there willingly? The guy had the steel balls to walk out of the gates yesterday. And I know you're going to say, well, he had what president has walked? Have you seen ever? Maybe Washington, maybe Lincoln, I don't know, whoever's in the White House, maybe walked out of those front gates to go walk through during a riot, during hostile events outside that gate. He walked outside that gate to the church and stood there. I don't care if you think it was a photo op. I don't give a flying fuck. But the fact that he did that was to show you that he was not hiding in his bunker, and he does not care, and he has balls of steel. Whether or not that has anything to do with what's happening around the United States of America is BS. He has nothing to do with what happened in Minneapolis, Minnesota. Nothing. He has nothing to do with the morons that are allowing the left-wing liberals to burn down these cities and states. And you can let me have it if you want. You can send me. I get so many messages. I know I have some friends who think, hey, have you unfriended me because you're not responding to any of my messages? I get so many messages. I'm sorry. I can't get to them all. And I apologize. I am not ghosting you, at least not on purpose. I know that the messages are coming in. I do not have time to look at them all. I'm going to try to get to all of them the best I can because I've seen momentarily that people have said, you're not my friend. Anymore, that I blocked them, and I haven't. I just cannot get to your messages. I'm so sorry. It's just there's things I have to do. So otherwise, if Trump was not president, you would still have liberals who are destroying the states and the cities like California, San Francisco, Los Angeles, New York City, Chicago, Baltimore, and Detroit. All that was happening before Donald Trump became president. The murders, and let me go with Chicago here. Just this weekend. And it's not because Trump was president, but just this last week, 82 people were shot in Chicago, the city of Chicago. In a city, 82 people were shot. 19 were killed. Do you think all that happened because Donald Trump became president? Or is it a liberal city in a liberal state that has done nothing for the black community? For years, for decades before Donald Trump became president. Their schools are shit. Their infrastructure is shit. The police department is shit because I've investigated some of the police officers over there in Chicago. Their culture is shit. And that was before Donald Trump became president. This has nothing to do with him. I'm hearing a child over there. You need to get out of the room because I'm not talking nicely. The police in the United States is not the problem. They are simply not the problem. I'm telling you. I was a police officer for 21 years. And I'm gonna come back to something that I think it's important for you whoever's watching this don't know who I am. I always try to lay a little bit of foundation. I know people that watch me all the time get tired of me. I know you're an expert, and only reason I continue to do that is because I'm not that famous, and not that many people know who I am and what I do. Because I want to make sure and lay a foundation. So there's a few people that may go, okay, well, he may not just be citing, and this is what I get all the time. You're just a Trumper. You're just a 45er or whatever. Somebody said a cult 45er the other day. You're a cult 45er. No, this is not. I don't care if he was. I would be saying the same stuff today if we had some other moron in there. Not that Trump is a moron. All right. Studies have shown over and over. Studied Harvard, one of the worst universities on the planet, liberal universities on the planet. They just did, which again, You take it or leave it for whatever it is. But police and studies have shown that less police, more black on black crime. When you have less police, you have more black on black crime. That is a study. I read it over and over again. I could not find one of the studies that I did want to bring up. I'll try to find it. I'll try to put it in the show, in the comments if I can find it. But it is a fact. The FBI, I believe it's an FBI study. I wrote it twice. I almost read it twice. All right. So here's the important part. If I'm going to lay a little bit of foundation, I want to make sure and lay this foundation before I really get to the meat of what this whole show is about. I think it was important to lay all that out so you understand where I'm coming from, because it is no longer about the murderer kneeling on George Floyd's neck at this point. We need to get back to that issue. The only way we can get back to that issue is if we do one thing, which I'm going to tell you in 1 minute. But first, I want to make sure that you understand that over the last 25 years, and again, I know you're rolling your eyes right now, but over the last 25 years, I have been recognized as a federal and state and city court expert in the area of use of force, especially when it has to do with police dogs. I've actually been an expert in other cases not involving police dogs and for the last 25 years. In doing that, I investigate bad cops daily. So don't tell me that I'm just siding with cops because I'm a cop. I investigate them more than anything else. 90, a large percentage. I don't want to put out a percentage because it'll be wrong, but a large percentage, in the 90%, I would say, lately, has been for the criminal. And in some case, they are not criminal because the officer did not do the right thing. And in Canada, I was really written about in the media for a long period of time for a case where a suspect who was arrested with in possession of 500 pounds of fentanyl was released from jail because of my testimony. I hated that, but it was the truth. Is the truth more important than just simply the arrest of somebody with dangerous drugs? Sometimes I struggle with that. I don't know. But the fact is, it's not about that case. And I'm going to justify it because I know there's cops probably turning off right now too that, didn't know this. But they're saying, oh, wait a minute. You testified in a case where a criminal was released and he had been stopped and arrested and there was 500 pounds of fentanyl in his vehicle? Yes, because what the cop had done was illegal. He lied. And his dog didn't do what he said that it did, because I could see on the video the dog didn't do it. I could see the dog was not trained to do what he did in that video. There's a lot more to this case, but it was the truth. The truth sometimes, and I hate to admit this, is more important than arresting a major criminal with 500 pounds of fentanyl. I know it hurts coming out of my mouth. I know. But it's not always about that case. It's about what's happening with that police officer, the culture in that police department that needs to be fixed. And by testifying on the truth, we may fix an issue that will keep your son or daughter from being arrested by the false allegations of a crooked cop. That is the more important issue. I hated that suspect got released and the charges were dropped, right? No, they didn't give back the 500 pounds of fentanyl. They kept it, they burned it, they destroyed it, whatever it was. He went back out, but he's going to commit a crime again. And hopefully, please God, that he doesn't hurt somebody or kill somebody and nobody dies from what he was doing. But I cannot be asked to look at a case and say, oh, yeah, even though I know the dog didn't do it, and go in there and say, oh, the dog did it. No, the truth is important because it's about the bigger picture, not just that one case. Do you understand what I'm saying? So my message here is to show you that I am not just pro cop, just flat out, no matter what, they all do good. No, I know there's bad cops because I investigate them on a regular basis. So it's really important that you understand that. At least I want you to understand that where I'm coming from is not just from a pro cop position. I am pro cop. I'm pro good cop. I hate bad cops. I hate bad police work because it's really not that hard to do good police work, right? This isn't brain surgery. And so when I have people that get hammer on me, I say, well, what did you do? right? Most of the people that I'm arguing with on these things, they're sitting in their house, typing on a computer, and have done nothing to support their point of view. They have done nothing to go out and say, okay, what can I do to make the relationship between police and the Black community better? They've done nothing like that. I've been doing it for 25 years. What have you done? So don't come and attack me about anything about who I am personally and what my morals are and what my decisions are based on. It's not just based on because Donald Trump is president. It is based on what is right and wrong. The destruction of our country is wrong, and it needs to stop today. All right. Whew. So let's get to this part. What needs to be done in the United States right now to stop what is going on? What absolutely needs to be done today? What needs to be done today is all protest needs to stop. What? What about our right to freedom of speech? Listen, I'm not saying that you can't have your right to free speech. But the protests mixed in with the rioting and the chaos is too difficult to manage and allow even peaceful protests to continue to go on at this moment. We have to stop it momentarily to weed out the problematic people and organizations that are funding and organizing the chaos. Right? For the time being, for a very short period of time, it could be a night, it could be 2 nights, it's a short period of time so that we can get back to addressing the real issue. Until we do that, we are not going to get back to that issue. Have you ever, as a parent, been at the park with a bunch of your child and a bunch of other kids that aren't your kids, and they're playing just fine, and all of a sudden you have a kid punching another kid and throwing a kid off the slide or pushing them off the swing and knocking them to the ground, and kids are crying? What happens? Do you just go, oh, let it happen, it's not that big of a deal, and one of the kids is bleeding? Do you just say, keep going? and it gets worse, right? No, keep going, figure it out. No. The adults have to come in and break up the fight, put everybody in timeout and say, okay, you problematic person need to be removed and need to leave. So the rest of us can enjoy ourselves and go back to what it is that we're doing that is peaceful and interesting and fun. Because you little shithead, are causing us to not have fun. If it's our kid, we need to put our kid in timeout. We need to take our child out of the problem. It is no different than what's happening in the United States right now, is that we have to stop everything momentarily. Even peaceful protests. I know. You got to stop everything, including peaceful protest. Because until you do that, you can't take out, because what's going to happen is you just need to make an announcement on radio, on television, on the phonograph for Joe Biden people, on Walkmans, on the cell phone, right? The other day I got a notification that there was a curfew here in Orange County. You do the same thing. You say, okay, we need to shut it down for right now. No protest, peaceful or otherwise, after 5 o'clock. Nothing off the streets. Shut it down. Everybody, right? And not have the media go out there. Oh, I can't believe you're doing that. You let the people. And this is the problem: is that you have people from behind going, no, don't listen to them. Go out there and ignore the police. Ignore the politicians that make sense. Ignore everybody who's trying to get order because they're just trying to shut you up. They're trying to block peaceful protests. Fuck them. No. Screw the media, screw CNN, MSNBC, and anybody else that's telling you that this is a peaceful protest of a bunch of adults that are trying to send a message that the cops are bad and criminals are good, right? Cops are bad, criminals are good. That's the message they're giving you. We need to ignore that, stop that, shut it down, and wait for the criminal element to come out. That's what we do. The criminal element cannot listen because they're stupid. Not all of them. Some of them are very intelligent because they're planning all this stuff. However, there's going to be some stupid ones that need to be arrested. You stop the looting. You arrest anybody that's out after 5. Arrest everybody that's out after 5. Right at 5. 5:01, start arresting people. All right? How do you do that with very few cops? Well, you got to bring in the National Guard. Finally a swear word. No, I've used a few other swear words. Bring out the National Guard. And I know it's not the military. I'm not saying bring in the Marines and the Army yet, in the whatever other military, Space Force. I'm not saying it is, because when you cross that line, but if we don't do it now, we will have to bring in the military. If you don't stop it now, we're going to have to bring in the military. National Guard is for domestic issues. Domestic issues can be handled by both police and National Guard. National Guard holds the ground that the police win, and then the police go in undercover and in uniform and find the evildoers. Who said that? Is that George W. Bush? The evildoers. And we go out as police, whether it's, you bring back some retired cops. I'll go out there. I'll go undercover, and I'll go out there and find the guys that are, taking bricks and throwing them Molotov cocktails and lighting them up, and identifying undercover and say, calling police officers that are in uniform to come arrest them, because you need to infiltrate with undercover cops who look like Antifa, who look like white supremacists, and mix in with those people so you can see who the problem actors are, and then call in the police while the National Guard holds the ground that you're winning and move forward. If you bring in numbers, you no longer need cops with the shields, wasting their time holding the ground, when you bring in the National Guard to do that for you. And now the police can do police work with the powers of arrest. The National Guard doesn't necessarily have powers of arrest. Now they can identify, they can hold and detain and that kind of stuff until the cops get there. But the people with powers of arrest, with the weapons and tools that go along with having that power, are available to actually arrest people. And then you bring in that National Guard to do that. And I don't know why they haven't done this. We know that it can be done. We did it at the LA riots, where I was, because I have the experience of being at the LA riots for a week, and helping support both the military that were there and the fire department, which my responsibility was taking care of the fire department. And you do that with the National Guard, and that needs to be brought in and hold that position. Here's the one thing that I heard today, and I can't remember if it was Tucker Carlson or who it was. It may have been, I don't know who it was. I can't remember, but, and then this is so true. Most Americans will never forgive weakness in their governors, nor the president. Americans will never forgive weakness. Most Americans. Liberals love weakness, because you know why? Because they can take advantage of the weak. They love people that are weak. They love people that are followers, right? I've seen them. I have friends that are weak followers who just throw out bullshit arguments because they're fucking crazy. They blame everything on Donald Trump because their hatred is so deep that it doesn't matter what it is. They get their sink is clogged. Fucking Trump, right? The garage door stops working. I don't know why I said that, but that's Trump's fault. Everything is Trump's fault. He's hiding in his bunker. He's a pussy. He comes out. Oh, what an asshole. He's coming out of his, now he's out there walking. What? Which one is it? He's either, right? He's either hiding or he's not, either one, it doesn't matter, right? We know that. That is it has gone beyond stupid, that if he's doing this thing, he's wrong. If he's doing this thing, he's wrong. It doesn't matter. If he's breathing air, all of a sudden they want to make air illegal. But that's the way it is. But real Americans will never tolerate weakness. And there's moments where he's being weakened by the people around him, including some Republicans. Jared Kushner needs to be fired today because he's an asshole, and he's just not an advisor that can be trusted, as far as I can tell from the position I'm at and the things that I know about Jared Kushner. That maybe there was some strengths that he brought in there for a moment, but he's a weak pussy himself, that he's not allowing the president to do the things that needs to be done, because he thinks that he said, no, too many people are going to think that you're a tyrant. They're going to say that you are what's the words I'm looking for, that they call him all the time, that he's a dictator. No, you're going to think you're a dictator. No, gosh darn it. Don't get elected in 2020, because you, Mr. President, have a responsibility to not be weak. You need to be tough, regardless of whether you get reelected or not, because it is your duty to take care of the citizens of the United States. Because you know why? The liberal governors and mayors of these communities, where that's where the responsibility starts, are not doing it. They're encouraging chaos and not stopping chaos. And so we cannot trust our governors. Newsom's a big pussy. Newsom, Lightfoot. What's the chick from Illinois? I forget her name. I know chick's not a politically correct name. What's her name? I'm sorry. I'm not StreamYard. I'm on my notes and I can't see. You know the chick. Idiot. That idiot bitch. She's a moron. She couldn't handle a call the other day with the governors. He was just so mean. At this point, if you are weak, you do not belong in politics. None of these people have ever been challenged in their life. And now that they're being challenged, it's revealing their weakness. It's exposing their weakness is what is happening. Donald Trump is exposing the weak-minded politicians who have never really been pressured. I haven't brought up Sleepy Joe, but Sleepy Joe he's about brain dead. All right. And they know it. It is not our fault, liberal Democrats. It is not our fault that you have chosen him to be the person that you want to be elected president. It is not don't blame us, right? You can't support him. You can't say you can lie and say that you think he's great. Don't let him lie to you. Not one single Democrat thinks that Biden is going to be a great president. Not one. I don't know one. I really don't know one because they never say that. Have you ever heard him say that? That he's going to be the best solution for this thing? Right? He has a history with black people. Yeah, saying black people, what do you say about Obama? That he's the most articulate black person that he knows, right? That's the kind of guy who's a supportive of black people, that if you don't vote for me, you're not black. That guy, that somebody wants to put you back in chains. That guy is the one you're saying is all for black people, has a long history of supporting black people. That's the guy. It is not our fault that you have chosen him as your future president. And you are causing us grief. You're allowing our country to be in chaos because you have a lousy candidate. That is the bottom line. You can't win with your lousy candidate. And so you're destroying the country in order to try to make a point. Which, did you see the Dow today? It was up. It's not working, by the way. You could see them going, what? How is the Dow up? How is the economy coming back when we've created all this chaos? When we created chaos, we thought when we had him impeached, you would have thought, when we told everybody that he was a Russian spy, you would have thought, but yet he's still here. The economy is still moving up. Wait a minute. Jobs before the pandemic were still increasing and unemployment was decreasing. How is this possible? We told everybody he was a Russian spy. We told everybody that the people that were working for him were Russian spies. We impeached him. How is it possible? Shit. We got to destroy our country. We have to create a pandemic and keep everybody home, close all the businesses and not allow them to open back up. If that doesn't work, we then have to create chaos. We have to create rioting and tell them that they're peaceful people, right? Have you seen the CNN reporters that are standing on scene, a fire of a building? I think it was the Minneapolis police. One of the precincts was on fire behind them, and the reporter from CNN is going, "We have mostly a peaceful group out here that are simply telling people how they feel." But yeah, it's mostly peaceful out here. He's got a fire blaze. The police department behind him is on fire. What is this for real? And am I living on this planet right now with such stupid people? Is it possible that I'm living on this planet? And they're doing it on a daily basis. Well, you hear people yelling and screaming, "Fuck the cops," with signs say "fuck you," right? All these signs, spray paint on every scene is "fuck the police," "fuck Donald Trump," "fuck," and they go, "Well, most of these people are peaceful and it's really quiet," right? And you got all this yelling in the background. Are you fucking kidding me? Wow. All right. So let me go to this thing really quick. And I think I already have it brought up and I'm going to read it here. And I'm sorry that I'm going to try to read it here. Just really quick. And that is that this is just a bunch of peaceful people out there that, we've been told over and over again. They're going, you know what? It's a hoax that Donald Trump is saying that, and other people are saying that, the chaos, the looting, the Molotov cocktails, the bricks being thrown are just people that are in, the community and they're just upset. Wall Street Journal today, I think, You have a guy by the name of John Miller, New York City's deputy police commissioner. Did I bring it up? I don't know if I brought it up. Yep, there it is. Let me go ahead and make it bigger. Sorry, I cannot make, for whatever reason, my ability to make the font bigger is just simply not working. So I can't make, those of you on the phone cannot probably see this very well. But John Miller, New York City's deputy police commissioner. So this guy's the police commissioner in New York, and he's in charge of the intelligence and counterterrorism. Said Sunday, the New York PD had similar evidence that the mayhem is organized and planned down to specific targets. Let me read that again, just so you understand that why we need to shut down all protesting, peaceful or not, is because the mayhem is organized and planned down to specific targets. We believe that a significant amount of people who came here from out of the area who have come here, as well as the advanced preparation, I'm sorry, I'm repeating that, but it's important. Having advanced scouts, the use of encrypted information, having resupply routes for things such as gasoline, accelerants, as well as rocks and bottles, the raising of bail from people like, and this is not in the article, but people like Michael Moore, the singer that I've just decided that he's an idiot too, that I used to like listening to, whatever his freaking name is, who's bailing out these people, but raising bail from the rich, the placing of medics. They have their own medics. Mr. Miller said he had taken together. This is a strong indicator that they plan to act with disorder, property damage, violence, and violent encounters with police before the first demonstration and or before the first arrest. Of 686 arrests in New York since May 28th through Sunday, Mr. Miller said one of every 7 were from out of New York. The arrested came from Massachusetts, Connecticut, Pennsylvania, New York, Iowa, Nevada, Virginia, Maryland, Texas, and Minnesota. This suggests extensive coordination that is exploiting justified anger about George Floyd. Do you understand? Oh, sorry, my lower third was up there. Let me get rid of that so I don't forget next time. Do you understand why we need to shut down all protests until we get a hold of this thing? You need to put in place RICO laws. RICO laws allow law enforcement to, when a person is arrested from an organized criminal act, it allows them to go after the people that organize that act, the people that are sitting at home safely and organizing it through their encrypted messaging system, through the warehouses that are using trucks to deliver bricks and pallets, which we've seen. If you haven't seen them and you're ignoring them, or you choose not to believe it's happening, then get the fuck off my thing, whatever it is you're watching this on, because that is happening. We've seen it. It's been reported. I have law enforcement friends that are still giving me information, telling me that, dude, they have a pallet behind a building where they're going and getting their bricks, throwing them and going back and getting more bricks. Somebody dropped that pallet off somewhere, sometime, and we don't know how it got there in the total darkness. But it's an organized. This is why you need to shut down the peaceful protest, so we can find the criminal element and locate where, through RICO criminal statutes, and arrest and charge the people sitting in their basement or wherever they're at in their warehouses, and charging them with the same criminal charges as they are the people that are on the ground. That's the way you do this, and it has to be done. All right. And so that's why I brought in that article. It's important to know that whatever you're being told, through your social media and your other liberal friends, is BS. It simply is BS. And I had to use BS because I just saw one of my kids. All right. So, Justin Timberlake, thank you for sharing. And I think I just want to put his stupid name out of my head. If I ever see, if I'm going to the Super Bowl and he's one of the things, I won't go to the Super Bowl. Yeah, no, and I'm not really always that type of person. Wasn't there footage of cops watching yeah, there is that too. They have seen it, but there's others that just said, where did this freaking come from? Right. And so, yes, there is some being seen. I mean, we're talking about all over the world. So I may make a statement like the other day, and I'm just going to go off track here for just 1 second. One of my friends, a great guy, Steve Dent, he sends me an article and says, hey, do you think white supremacists are also part of this thing? It was a good question. I said, yes, but he sent me an article that the article had no basis for that information. The article had nothing in there that really made that point. And that's all. So I was pointing out that the article was taking a picture of a guy with his hand up, and it cut off his hand, so you couldn't see probably a fist, or the fact that he had a hand up and not a a Heil Hitler salute, right? Completely different. You can't see this. Having a hand up as hands up, right? Heil Hitler is very distinct, but they cut off his hand in the picture, right? And they're saying he's standing in front of a Minneapolis police station doing that. And I said, really, do you think when that picture was taken that white supremacist was amongst a bunch of black people saying Heil Hitler and being a white supremacist? Yeah. No, very unlikely. And then the rest of the article really didn't address that. The title did, right? White supremacist. But when you read the article, you're going, it's possible that no, there was no information. And so this is the problem that we're getting into. So it is kind of crazy. So I know there's macro and micro information that's going out there. When I say this, when I was pointing out in that article that the article was not making a point or not making an argument for white supremacists, even though I know there's some white supremacists out there that are kind of infiltrating and probably being a part of this. I was just simply saying that article, right? And then people, well, there are white supremacists. Okay, there are. I'm just telling you that article, right? And sometimes I get too macro or micro. I'm not sure which one it is. And it causes people to think that I'm not understand. I understand that there are, but I'm telling you that article was not. So don't get crazy on me, you dummies. Okay, next thing, really quick. I'm almost done. I promise you, I'm almost done. So liberal I think I already got all this, and I think I've already made my point. I just want to make Joe Biden, right? And you got Joe Biden that comes in the mix, and he's trying to say stuff, and he's trying to read some stupid speech that somebody wrote for him that he can't get through, that he's got to read because they can't trust him to talk, right? We're pretty lucky that he can read. I mean, he's still got a couple chromosomes, or is that right? Chromosomes? Still brain cells? Has a couple brain cells that are still operating because apparently he can read. You just don't want him talking. He can read out loud. You just don't want him talking. He cannot talk longer. But they did, right? They allowed him to talk. And what does he say? He said or I'm not sure it was today or yesterday. He says, when a man, an unarmed man with a knife, you need to shoot him in the leg. Well, number one, he's not unarmed. He's got a fucking knife. A knife can be one of the most dangerous things, deceptive things, and most deadly things if you are not trained how to deal with a man with a knife, and that is usually with a gun. You do not bring a knife to a gunfight, all right? And so when somebody has a knife, you need to shoot them in the 10 ring to take them down. Law enforcement has never, ever, ever, forever, never been trained to shoot a leg or an arm. Never. Why? Because we miss. I tried to hit somebody in a 10 ring, and I hit him in the leg. Right. Thank God I was trying to hit him in the 10 ring because I may not have ever hit them. If I was aiming for the leg, I definitely would have missed. We have never been trained ever to shoot for a leg or an arm. And I know, oh, really? You're trained to kill him? No, we're trained to hit him in center mass because that's the largest part of his body. We're trained never to hit him and try not to shoot him in the head. You can do double taps. You do that in the military. Bam to the heart and one to the head. Sure. But in police work, for the most part, it is the 10 ring, which is this part of the body right here, this part of the torso right here. And that is the only thing. And then the fact that he said an unarmed man with a knife it tells you how mentally deficient Joe Biden is and why the Democrats are doing this to us, because they cannot trust Biden as president and that he'll get elected because he's short a few brain cells. And he's going down very quickly. He will not make it through the first year of a presidency if he gets elected. And they know that. That is why they're doing this. All right. So I just want to touch on Joe Biden. I got a few more things. Wow. I made a lot of notes. I may have to turn this into 2 shows. And this is, I think I just want to end. I want to end on this because this is the most controversial thing. I meant to bring it up earlier. But hold on, I'm just going to make sure because I think I mentioned most of everything, but I want to talk about this thing that's being talked about a lot today and even previously coming up, and that's about systemic racism. Systemic racism in the police industry, the police world, the United States of America does not exist. I don't care how many times you hear it from CNN, MSNBC, the New York Times, the Washington Post. I don't care. I don't care how many talking heads you see on television and said systemic racism in police departments is a problem. There is no systemic racism in police departments. Huh? What? And you're saying, and now ding, ding, ding. I went from, how many viewers to 0. It does not exist. I am telling you, if it existed, then my 21 years in Anaheim Police Department, I would have seen it. In the hundreds of investigations that I've done with police departments across the United States and in Canada, I would have seen it. I am telling you, as somebody who investigates police officers on a regular basis, it does not exist. Oh, my daughter's trying to FaceTime me. She's in Montana. And I'm sorry I can't get you Ray right now. It does not exist. I know you want it to be there. I know that you want it to exist. I know, but what about the former officer kneeling on, and then the other officers laying on top of on poor George? What about them? Isn't that a sign that it's systemic racism? No, you got 3 or 4 cops who are out of control. That's what you have. And they knew they were out of control because they have previous history of being out of control, and they didn't get. That's the bigger problem. Like I said in the beginning, that is the issue. The culture has been allowed to continue to be a part of this police department, but it's not systemic racism. I am telling you. And first, I'm going to give you some more proof, not just me. I am telling you, as a person who was a police officer for 21 years, who's trained with police departments, and I've trained police departments across the United States and in Canada and even in other countries, as also for 25 years investigating law enforcement and police officers throughout North America for the last 25 years, I would tell you, I would admit to it, I would tell you, systemic racism means the entire system is racist. Do you know how many black chiefs you have across the United States? Do you know how many black captains you have across the United States? Do you know how many black lieutenants and sergeants and patrol officers you have across the United States? Do you know how many? I don't know, but it's a lot. I was talking the other day. What did I say? 800,000? 800,000 police. I forgot what the number was, but it's a lot. Police officers. It is not. It doesn't. 800,000 police officers across the United States are not racist. That would be systemic racism in law enforcement. It is there. That is not. It is not true. It is a made-up word, phrase, I guess, because it's a couple words to make you think we have a problem with police officers in this world. The truth is, without police, we'd have more chaos. As a matter of fact, black on black crimes would increase, according to the studies that I have read, the FBI research and Harvard studies that I have researched. I'm going to bring in another article in just a minute. Let me stop screen sharing that for 1 second, bring up another one, and I'm going to read from another study that is important to hear. So you're not just hearing it from me, right? And I'll put the links to these articles. This is Wall Street Journal. And I'm not telling you the Wall Street Journal is the end all be all of information, but they're referencing a study in Harvard to give you this information. I just want to give you one other bit of information here before I go on to this. Hold on, I'm going to just make myself primary there. Is that this is another one. It's going to be in this article, but I want to make it clear, and I'm going to read more in this article. But there were 10 million police contacts with civilians in the United States. 10 million contacts last year, I believe it was. 10 million contacts. That seems not that many. I would think there would be many, but let's just go with this, right? Let's just say there were 10 million, and it's possible. 10 million is a lot, by the way. 10 million contacts. Out of those 10 million contacts, which is a lot of contacts, there were 1,004 shootings. 1,004 shootings. If there's systemic racism, and if the liberal media gets their way, they want you to believe that out of those 1,004 fatal shootings, that all of them were on black people because there's systemic racism, or a majority of those shootings are cop on black victims, suspects, right? That's what they want you to believe. That would be systemic racism. The truth, however, is that 41 of the unarmed people that were shot, 19 of them were white. 19 of them were white. It is more unlikely that a white officer will harm a black person. I know. Some of you are crying and you're saying that you're clicking off and you're saying, Andy, you have lost your mind. But the truth is, statistics and studies and research, they keep track of shootings, of how many officers involved in shootings, who the victims or the suspects were, depending on how you want to look at them, and they write it down and they put it down. These are FBI statistics. Out of the 41, 9 were black. 9 of them were black. More than twice as many were white. The rest were, some other race, Mexican, Asian, what have you. Out of all, and I'm let me just say, out of 80 suspects that my police dog bit, if it was systemic racism, if I was part of the problem, out of the 80 people that my police dog bit that were felony suspects, in most cases, there were a couple of misdemeanors that were kind of felonies, but they ended up being misdemeanors. Out of the 80, I think 2 are black. All right. So I'm telling you, systemic racism does not exist. Now let's go to this article. And the article reads here that it's a myth, that although Barack Obama wants you to believe, and the media wants you to believe that, what did he say? Mr. Obama called on the police and the public to create a new normal in which bigotry no longer infects our institutions and our hearts. And the criminal justice system. That it wasn't in those exact words. I'm just looking through a paragraph where those words were being used. So let me scroll down here, and I think I highlighted it, so I should be able. Oh, nah, dang it! I must have clicked because now I lost it. So right here, the latest. I think this is it right here. Yeah, I believe this is some of the better information. Hold on. So let's go over here let me just read this to you. What the heck? Come on. Why is this not working for me? All right. So I'll just read. Here on this part of the article, it's just written that we're not cooperating for some. The charge of systemic police bias was wrong during the Obama years, and it remains so today. However, sickening the video of Floyd's arrest, it isn't representative of the 375 million annual contacts. 375 million, according to this thing. 375 million annual contacts that police officers have with civilians. A solid body of evidence finds no structural bias in the criminal justice system with regard to arrest, prosecution, or sentencing. Crime and suspect behavior, not race, determine most police actions. Let me read that again, this last part. Crime and suspect behavior, not race, determine most police actions. In 2019, police officers fatally shot. That was the statistic I just read, so I'm not going to read that again. The police fatally shot. Okay, on Memorial Day, this area right here of this article, which again I'll put in the show comments. On Memorial Day weekend in Chicago alone, 10 African Americans were killed in drive-by shootings. Such routine violence has continued. A 72-year-old Chicago man shot in the face on May 29th by a gunman who fired about a dozen shots into a residence. 2 19-year-old women on the south side shot to death as they sat in their parked car a few hours earlier. A 16-year-old boy fatally stabbed with his own knife that same day. The past weekend, 80 Chicagoans were shot in drive-by shootings. Shoot, I lost my place. 21 fatally, the victims overwhelmingly black. Police shootings are not the reason that blacks die of homicide at 8 times the rate of whites and Hispanics combined. Criminal violence is. The latest in a series of studies undercutting the claim of systemic police bias was published in August 2019 in the Proceedings of the National Academy of Sciences. The researchers found that the more frequently officers encountered violent suspects from any given racial group, the greater the chance that a member of that group will be fatally shot by a police officer. There is no significant evidence of anti-black disparity in the likelihood of being fatally shot by police, they concluded. In 2015, Justice Department analysis of the Philadelphia Police Department found that white police officers were less likely than black or Hispanic officers to shoot unarmed black suspects. Research by Harvard economist Roland G. Fryer Jr. also found no evidence of racial discrimination in shootings. Any evidence to the contrary fails to take into account crime rates and civilian behavior before and during interactions with police. The false narrative of systemic police bias resulted in targeted killings of officers during the Obama presidency. The pattern may be repeating itself. Officers are being assaulted and shot at while they try to arrest gun suspects or respond to the growing riots. Police precincts and courthouses have been destroyed with impunity, which will encourage more civilization, destroying violence. If the Ferguson effect of officers backing off law enforcement in minority neighborhoods is reborn as the Minneapolis effect, the thousands of law-abiding African Americans who depend on the police for basic safety will once again be the victims. is enough, right? It is enough of the systemic racism claim against law enforcement. It is enough to say that because we want to stop the rioting in the cities, that we are against peaceful protesting, and then we are against what happened to George Floyd on that video. None of that is true. What we need is to gain control of our streets, our cities, and our states in this country. We need to shut down all protests, including peaceful protests, until we get a handle and get all of the bad actors, those that are creating chaos, out of the mix, so we can go back to having a dialogue of how we're going to fix the perception that there is systemic racism, when in fact there's not. I know that you believe there are, but I know that blacks can be stopped and be treated poorly. I know that that does happen, but not at the extreme levels that the media wants you to believe. Again, I've been in law enforcement for decades. I hate to admit, for decades. And it is not my perception. It is not my my experience. There are hundreds and hundreds of thousands of fantastic police officers. And I know I can say that till I'm blue in the face. And there's a few that need to be weeded out. The culture needs to be stopped. But it's not happening in most cities. It's happening in liberal cities and states. If you just look at at what happened in Minneapolis, Minnesota, that is a liberal city in a liberal state with a liberal DA, and that is where the problem started. That is where the problem started. That is why we're seeing what we're seeing now, is because we have these liberals who are doing nothing to stop the chaos. They're doing nothing to fix their police departments. They're doing nothing to get rid of the bad apples within a police department. That is the problem. And that is how I started. So it must be time to end. And I hope that I didn't go on and on and on in too many different directions, but this is fact and truth. I know that many of you don't want to hear it. I know that you want to believe there's systemic racism within police departments, but there's not. I know that you don't want to stop the peaceful protesting, but we have to get control. That is the only thing we can do. I know you don't want us to bring in the National Guard, but the president needs to bring in the National Guard. He should have done it today. I'm disappointed that he didn't do it today. He needs to do it today. I am armed. I have more weapons loaded now than I've had in my entire lifetime. I see these cars as you're driving down the road, and now, I protect myself. If I were to stop at a red light, which is happening here in Orange County, just down the street, somebody told me the other day that they stopped at a red light and somebody came, busted out their window. If my kids are in that car, I will shoot you in the face. You come at my car with a crowbar to get into my vehicle to cause me or my children harm, I will shoot you in the face. That is what it's come down to, because you know why? Because our leaders are not protecting us. They are not protecting us. So what else are we going to do? Am I going to allow people, rioters? The one thing that I didn't mention that really is just really, and I'm going to say this one last thing, that you are so pissed, some of you, that a white cop killed a black man, but you're allowing white suburban kids to go in these black communities and throw Molotov cocktails and burn your buildings. You don't mind that white people are coming down and burning your buildings and looting your buildings. That you don't mind, right? You so-called Black Lives Matter people, whoever you are, white, black, Mexican, all these people, these white people holding up signs, Black Lives Matter. But you're allowing white people to come into your communities and burn them down, and to take the property of a hardworking business owner and running out the door with grocery carts, whether it's big companies like Target or small mom and pop, that you're allowing that to happen. That's okay for white suburban pussies to come in there and throw a Molotov cocktail behind a group of potentially black, peaceful, not rioters, protesters, right? You got these other guys in black hoodies with black masks, right? It's okay that those white people are doing that. You should be taking those people out. And I've seen a few videos where they've done that, and that's really good. Continue to do that. But you don't mind that. You are so pissed that a white cop killed a black man, which you should be, and I am too. But it's okay that white people are coming into your communities and destroying them. And you say nothing about that. The media says nothing about it. They say it's okay. It's okay for white people to go in these black communities and destroy them and to burn them down and to take and loot their property, to bust the windows as people are driving down the street, right? These are white people coming to a black community, busting out windows, getting you all riled up, so that now you are getting arrested because of all the chaos that these white kids from suburbia are coming into your communities and causing chaos. That's okay. That's okay with you. We need to stop. You got to be fucking kidding me. It needs to stop. Donald Trump will never see this, and most of the people in power will not see this, but I don't know. Maybe you know somebody that's in power. And you say, listen, we need to bring in the National Guard. We need to stop all protest, peaceful or otherwise. All of it needs to stop so we can get a handle on it. Then we put designated areas in certain parts of Central Park is where we're going to gather to have a peaceful protest. No longer blocking the freeways and streets and the highways so people can't get to work. No longer breaking windows in downtown New York or downtown Los Angeles or downtown Chicago or Seattle, Washington or San Francisco or Dallas or Washington, D.C., outside the White House. No, you can have some people over there in the park that's across the street from the White House in designated areas. Until we get a handle of it, I'm going to choke here because I'm yelling so much. Let's organize the peaceful protest so that we cannot get confused with the people that are trying to cause chaos. Somebody goes out of that zone for the time being. I'm not trying to muzzle peaceful protests or say that we need to muzzle peaceful protests, but for the time being, we need to organize peaceful protests so that we can get rid of the organized chaos with the National Guard, state police, city police. The black community, African Americans, do not allow white people to come into your communities and destroy them. Just like you don't want to allow white cops to take the life of a African American by choking them, torturing them until they die. I realize that he tortured him, handcuffed on the ground until he died. I saw that. I see that. I completely. I believe they charged him with the wrong thing. They charged him with murder 3. They should have charged him with murder 2. But that's a Democrat DA. It was Donald Trump that did that. That cop was a cop before Donald Trump became president. This needs to be done. And I hope you understand where I'm coming from. I've spent a lot of time on this. I think a lot about it. I think about what my experiences in law enforcement. I think about my experience of investigating law enforcement for the last 25 years. I have investigated law enforcement for the last 25 years. And I know that there's people going to laugh, oh, you're just a pro-cop, or you're just pro-Trump, or you're just... No, I'm pro-America. I'm a proud American. I have a flag in front of my house until it starts setting off my ring floodlight constantly, and I have to move it. I'm an American. Our country's being destroyed, and something needs to be done. We cannot reelect weak politicians come November. If Donald Trump proves to be a weak president, I will tell you that I'm not going to vote for him. I don't think he's weak. I think he had balls of steel to walk out that front gate, regardless of what you think. He didn't use tear gas. I know people, use tear gas on a peaceful. No, he did not use tear gas, or they didn't. The Secret Service, they did not use tear gas. They used smoke. Well, it was before curfew. It doesn't matter. Anytime the president comes in, any president, Obama, Bush, Carter, whenever they came into a city, they cleared the streets because that's what you do when the president is coming out. He's the president of the United States. He's the president of the free world. You clear the area. And they told him, hey, get out of the way. We're coming through. They do it all the time. You got fucking CNN getting on there. Oh, I can't believe that they were doing. They pushed the peaceful protesters and they used tear gas. They did not use tear gas. They told them to move. They refused to move. When you refuse to move, when Secret Service tells you to move and you don't move, they're going to push you out of the way. So that the president of the United States, the leader of the free world, he's not just Joe Schmo. He wanted to go to the church to show that this is how it's done. You clear the streets. So even the president of the United States could walk through the park and walk down the street. Whether that was intended to be his message, that's the message. I said, look, that's what can happen across the United States. You clear the streets. We can go back to walking through that park and not be worried to hit with a Molotov cocktail. I think Facebook's trying to take me down. I just saw me glitch in there a little bit. All right. I better stop or I'm going to go on because I just had so many. My notes was so long. I'm telling you that happy coffee. I'm telling you right now, go get some happy coffee. Contact me so I can get you some happy coffee. It is amazing. Go to today'shappycoffee.com and order some happy coffee. Do that for me today because it's how I'm going to put shoes on my kids' feet if you go there because these sponsors are important to me. If you need CBD, go to today'scbdoil.com. All right. Or today'sdeseo.com. Any one of those will help me continue to do what I do. And somebody said I should run for governor. Thank you. Thank you, Diane. Oh, man. I'm getting calls from people. Hey, Carmen, nice to see you. No relation. Oh, God, I'm exhausted. Carmen, you're in New York, right? You're in New York, I believe. And I can imagine what you're going through. That I'm looking on the screen. I can see all the chaos. It's happening. It's continuing tonight. How many days of this violence do you need to continue? When at what point do you say, okay, who's going to be, when the pandemic started really early on, I put a post up, who wants to get into the mask making business? This was before anybody was making masks, way early. I have this tendency to predict certain things. And that was one of them. And people go, you're not being funny. You're being, I forgot it was some stupid messages. And I said, I think everybody's going to need a mask at some point. This was before we needed masks. And I should have jumped into the business. I was too late. I'm going to get into the window business. I think today I've decided that I'm going to start a window. Anybody in? Anybody want to start a window business? Because in LA and New York, you are going to be busy over the next couple of weeks. You're going to make some cash replacing these windows because of the idiots in leadership who are doing nothing but allowing all those windows to be broken. Right now, the boarding business is really good, right? Boarding up these places. But with chaos, with stuff like this, there's always business. There's always a business that can be allowed. Oh, Carmen. Oh, Carmen, you're in San Diego. I'm sorry. It's bad here also. Yeah, it is. It is. Sorry. I got the wrong location. All right. What does Robin say here? Let me see. Why is that some can't agree that Chauvin was wrong yet? Protests that engage in looting and rioting is dead as wrong. I don't know, Robin. I don't know. Nobody are as smart as all of us that are on this thing. I thought I saw somebody kind of laughing at something I said. I did. I have a beer. Oh, I got to tell you about this beer. And I'm sorry, I'm going to get off. I know. I'm just trying to calm down. And I have my friends here. I see a lot of my friends that are on here. And I'm sorry. I told you I was going to be cussing all that thing in the bottom. I have this new beer. It's called, it's a Kona. I love Kona Brewing Company. I've had a bunch of their beers, but I think this is a new one. This is called Cream Ale. Cream Ale. I know that sounds like since I can cuss, it sounds like a pussy beer. But it actually is pretty tasty. It does taste like a little bit like a cream soda, just a hint of cream soda, yet in a beer. And I know that sounds really bad, but I'm telling you, it actually is pretty tasty. So here's to you. Thank you for watching. I do appreciate you guys and your feedback. And again, if you're watching and you think I'm wrong about everything, let me have it. I love it. People tell me all the time, hey, you should block certain people that say certain. I don't block people. They can block me if they want to, unless they threaten me. I've had people threaten me, and so I've had to block them. But other than those people, tell me how you feel. All right. Sorry, I'm looking at my screen and not at you guys. All right. Thank you for watching. I do appreciate all of you. I'm just telling this. Those are my feelings and my experience. And I hope that it makes sense. And I hope that it helps people that are kind of on the fence get off the fence. All right. That's it. I'll talk to you later. Take care. Bye.